My roommate tried to kill me because her crush liked me. Even as I type this, it feels surreal, like something out of a movie, but this actually happened to me. I'm still reeling from the shock and trauma of it all, and maybe sharing this story will help me start to make sense of it. So, let me take you back to the beginning, where this nightmare all started. This year was my first in college, and like many students, I moved to a new city and needed a place to stay. A girl I kind of knew from my hometown, let's call her Mia, reached out to me. We had mutual friends and had hung out a couple of times, so she wasn't a total stranger. From what I knew, she seemed nice, calm, modest, and easy to get along with. Mia suggested we rent a room together to save money. It seemed like a good idea since we were both going to the same college. Plus, having a familiar face in a new city felt like a good way to adjust to college life. We ended up renting a room in an apartment near campus, and we had 2 other housemates. One room was still empty, so it was only a matter of time before someone else moved in. About 3 weeks later, I heard Mia talking to someone in the kitchen. When she finally came back to our room, she was practically buzzing with excitement and told me that we had a new housemate, a really hot guy named Joshua. Mia mentioned that Joshua also seemed to like her, which was why they talked for so long in the kitchen. I didn't think half an hour was that long, but I didn't say a word. Mia asked if I had already met him, and I hadn't. She added that he wasn't my type anyway, because Joshua looked exactly like her ex-boyfriend. I found it odd that she assumed to know my type, but it wasn't important to me, so I just nodded along. I came to college to get a degree, not to find a boyfriend, so this topic felt irrelevant. But I didn't want to be rude, so I listened to her talk. 2 days later, I was home alone, listening to music with my AirPods and dancing in the kitchen while making dinner. I felt free since I thought I was alone, but I completely forgot about our new housemate. At some point, I felt like someone was watching me, and when I turned around, there he was, Joshua, standing there with a smile. I have never been so embarrassed. He apologized for just staring, but explained that he wanted to introduce himself, and I hadn't heard him. He said I was a great dancer and stayed until I noticed so he could compliment me. I was blushing but thanked him, and we talked for hours. Joshua was funny and polite, and we had so much in common: hiking, music, dancing, and even an interest in economics. If you're wondering if he was as hot as Mia said, honestly, I didn't look at him that way at first. But I have to admit, I really liked his voice. Mia was in a bad mood when I finally returned to my room. She had tried to join our conversation in the kitchen, but Joshua barely acknowledged her. If I hadn't said hello to Mia, I assumed Joshua hadn't even noticed her at all. Now Mia was clearly pissed at me. She snapped, "He's not your type, so why are you talking to him so much?" I tried to calm her down, explaining that Joshua was just our new housemate and I was being polite. But I did admit that we had a lot in common and could become friends. At that point, I wasn't thinking of Joshua as anything more than a friend. I'm not the kind of person who falls in love quickly. Honestly, I even thought if Mia wanted to date him, she should go for it. But from what I observed, it seemed like this crush was one-sided, and Joshua wasn't very interested in Mia. Maybe that's why she was so annoyed and upset. From then on, things with Joshua escalated quickly. He asked for my number, added me on social media, sent me messages constantly, and wanted to hang out whenever we had free time. He even started buying me little gifts, making me dinner, and inviting me out dancing. Mia, meanwhile, was getting more and more irritated. Every time Joshua gave me attention, she'd do something weird, like showing up in the exact outfit I wore the day before, or creating fake situations where she needed Joshua's help, playing the helpless girl. It got crazier. Mia once pretended she had sprained her ankle, dramatically limping around the apartment and asking Joshua to carry her to her bed. Another time, she accidentally spilled an entire pot of boiling water on the kitchen floor when Joshua and I were cooking together, just to get him to rush over and help clean up while she made a scene. She even went as far as pretending to faint during a group study session when Joshua was around, hoping he'd come to her rescue. And then, the most bizarre thing, Mia started leaving notes around the apartment, written as if they were from Joshua, with cringeworthy compliments and declarations of love directed at her. It was obvious they weren't from him. They were signed with his name, but in her handwriting. All these desperate attempts to get Joshua's attention only made him more distant from her, which seemed to drive Mia even more over the edge. It was becoming clear that her crush on Joshua was not just a harmless infatuation. It was turning into an unhealthy obsession, and I was caught in the middle of it. Oddly enough, I still thought that Joshua and I were nothing more than friends, so Mia's attempts to ruin our relationship were on some days even kind of funny to me. That is, until the night when Joshua confessed that he was in love with me. It might have been obvious, but hearing him say it still caught me off guard. I just stood there, staring at him, completely speechless. My silence made him think I didn't feel the same way because he suddenly accused me of playing with his feelings. I panicked, and before I could think, I hugged him tightly to stop his rant. The truth was, I did feel the same way, but everything was happening so fast. I came to college to focus on my studies, not on finding a boyfriend, and now I was entangled in this mess with Mia. Part of me was happy, but another part felt terrified of how Mia would react to all of this. Mia had already been teetering on the edge with her obsession over Joshua. Now, I was the clear target in her twisted narrative. I could see the storm brewing, and I wasn't sure I was ready to face the fallout. But as I looked at Joshua, his eyes filled with a mix of hope and anxiety, I knew I couldn't let fear make my decisions. I wanted to give us a chance, so I confessed my feelings, but the dread of what would come next lingered. I shared my worries about Mia with Joshua, but he brushed them off, saying Mia would finally get the message now that we were officially together and move on with her life. Maybe even find a new guy to be obsessed with. Obviously, that wasn't the case. That's when things really started to spiral out of control. Mia completely lost it. For the first 2 days, she didn't speak to me at all, but on the third day, when Joshua was away visiting his parents, she did something I'll never forget. Mia pushed a large wardrobe onto my bed while I was lying in it. I saw her shove it with all her strength, and I tried to press myself against the wall to avoid the worst of it. Being skinny probably saved my life. I narrowly avoided being crushed, but I hurt my back badly. The pain was so intense that I couldn't move, and at first I couldn't even feel my legs. My immediate thought was that I had injured my spine so severely that I might be paralyzed. My second thought was sheer panic. How would I get out from under this wardrobe? I was completely helpless, and for a terrifying moment, I thought Mia might finish what she started. Thankfully, one of our housemates came home and rushed into the room after hearing me scream for help. Mia's reaction? She immediately blamed the wardrobe, claiming it had just fallen, but I had seen her push it. She pulled the wardrobe off me with the other housemate, acting all concerned and even bringing me something cold for my back. She played the role of the caring roommate so convincingly that our housemates thought she was being genuinely helpful. When I tried to tell them that she did it on purpose, no one believed me. They thought I was either exaggerating or mistaken. It didn't stop there. Mia started spreading rumors about me around the college, telling everyone that I was a liar who made up stories and even accused me of stealing her boyfriend. She claimed I was manipulative, thrived on drama, and had even cheated on exams to get ahead. Mia went as far as telling people that I had been stalking Joshua long before we became housemates, making me out to be some kind of obsessive psycho. She even started dressing like me, copying my hairstyle and mimicking how I talked, telling others I was trying to copy her style. It was beyond creepy. Unfortunately, some of the new friends I had made at college started to distance themselves from me, unsure of who to believe and sadly falling for Mia's lies. She even lied directly to Joshua, telling him that I had said horrible things about him behind his back, that I was just using him to make other guys jealous and that I didn't really care about him. She claimed I was just playing with his feelings because I enjoyed the attention he gave me, and that he wasn't really my type. Thankfully, Joshua never believed her. He saw right through her manipulations. By this point, I knew I couldn't stay in that apartment any longer. Joshua and I decided to move out and rent a place together. When Mia heard the news, she completely flipped. She didn't say a word, but would stare at me with this unsettling, cold look whenever I was around. It felt like she was watching my every move, planning her next step. I couldn't even focus on studying because her eyes were always on me, burning with this silent, intense rage. One night I couldn't sleep. This heavy feeling was in the air and something just felt off. Thank God I stayed awake. The following day, Mia left early for a lecture, and I thought I'd have a moment of peace, but that's when things got even weirder. Our other housemates were in the kitchen, frantically looking for the knives, which were all missing. The thought of knives disappearing from our kitchen made my heart race, and I felt a chill run down my spine. Sensing something was seriously wrong, Joshua suggested they check Mia's bed and desk drawers. And there they were. One knife under her pillow, a bigger one under the mattress, 2 smaller ones in her desk drawer, and 2 more hidden in the wardrobe. It was like something out of a horror movie. Everyone was stunned, their expressions shifting from confusion to horror. It finally clicked for them. Mia wasn't just upset, she was dangerous. Realizing that she might have genuinely wanted to kill me was no longer just a paranoid thought. It was an undeniable reality. I never stayed in that room with her again. I immediately moved into Joshua's room, where I kept a close eye on the door, too scared to even sleep properly. Luckily, Mia seemed to understand that no one in the apartment wanted to be around her anymore, so she decided to move out even before Joshua and I could. A week later, one of my previous college friends who had unfortunately bought into Mia's lies came to our apartment to help Mia move to her place. She was cold and hostile toward me, telling me that I was the worst person she'd ever met and that I had ruined Mia's life. I didn't know precisely what lies Mia had fed her, but I warned her, "You're making a huge mistake letting her live with you. Mia is seriously unhinged and needs help." Her response? She told me to shut the F up and stormed out. After Mia moved out, I hoped things would finally calm down. Still, the fear hasn't gone away. Even now, living in a new apartment with Joshua, it's hard to wrap my head around how close I came to serious harm, or worse. Let's be honest. I'm pretty sure she wanted to end my life. Maybe in her twisted mind, she thought that if I was out of the picture, Joshua would be devastated, and she could swoop in to comfort him. I don't know, but I'm scared. We still attend the same college, and I've even considered transferring just to get away from her. I've blocked her on all social media, but it feels like no amount of distance or digital barriers can fully keep her away. Sometimes I still catch glimpses of her on campus, and my heart races as if she's about to pull something again. This whole experience taught me that you never truly know what someone is capable of. Mia seemed like a sweet, modest girl on the surface, but underneath was a storm of jealousy and obsession that almost destroyed me. When we first moved into this apartment with Mia, her sister shared an unsettling story with me. When Mia was 5, she got jealous of her older sister because their mother was giving her more attention. So, Mia pushed her sister down the stairs. The poor girl ended up in the hospital with serious injuries. Maybe her sister told me this as a warning, but I brushed it off at the time, thinking Mia was just a little kid who didn't know any better. Looking back now, it feels like a chilling preview of how far Mia would go when driven by jealousy. It makes me wonder what other dark secrets she's hiding behind that innocent smile. If there's one takeaway from this nightmare, it's to trust your instincts. Those uneasy feelings and subtle red flags are there for a reason. Keep your guard up, especially around people who don't truly have your best interests at heart. You never really know what lies beneath the surface. You can never be too careful. Stay safe, everyone.